The rain came down in silver needles, the kind that makes every streetlight look like it's crying. Interstate 5 was a black river outside the window of the Aurora Diner, just north of Seattle, 2:17 a.m. on a Tuesday in late October. The neon "open" sign buzzed like a dying insect, half the letters already burned out. Inside, there were exactly 3 living souls. One was Marlene Hayes, 47, night shift waitress, hair of color of weak coffee pulled into a knot that had given up hours ago. She wore a faded green dress with white collar and moved like someone who had long ago accepted gravity as a personal enemy. The second was Earl Rusty McAllister, 51, long-haul trucker out of Billings, Montana, beard the shade of rust on old iron, eyes the pale blue of a propane flame. He sat in the corner booth nursing the same cup of coffee he'd ordered at midnight, letting it go cooled, then reheating it with free refills until it tasted like punishment. The third soul belonged to the jukebox, a 1964 Seaburg that still took quarters and still played Patsy Cline when nobody was looking. Rusty had not said more than 12 words in 2 hours. Marlene had not asked for more. She knew the type. Men who carried whole zip codes of silence on their backs. At 2:23 a.m., Rusty finally spoke. "I did something unforgivable, Marlene." His voice was gravel rolling downhill. Marlene kept wiping the same spot on the counter. "Most folks in here at this hour did, sugar. Difference is whether you're ready to say it out loud." He looked at her name tag, then at her face, as if checking they matched. "You ever hear of the first national bank job in Rapid City, summer of '99? Marlene's hand slowed, just a fraction. "I read newspapers." 3 masked men, 1 guard shot in the leg, 1.4 million never recovered. Rusty's fingers drummed the table in a rhythm only he could hear. They never caught the third man. Marlene set the rag down. "You fixin' to tell me you were the third man, Rusty?" He gave a laugh that had no joy in it. "I'm fixin' to tell you I wasn't." She studied him for a long second, then reached under the counter, pulled out a half-empty bottle of Maker's Mark, and poured 2 fingers into his coffee cup without asking. "Drink, then talk. Clock don't start till the whiskey's gone."
He drank. The cup rattled when he set it down. "My brother Ray and I," he began, "we were born 11 minutes apart. I came first, so I got stuck with the name Earl Jr. Ray got Raymond, which sounded like money even when we didn't have any. Folks always said we were mirror twins, one right-handed, one left, scars on opposite sides. Cow kicked us when we were 6. You couldn't tell us apart unless you made us write our names." Marlene leaned on the counter, arms folded. The diner smelled of bacon grease and wet wool. "Ray was the smart one," Rusty went on. "Could talk a coyote out of its pelt. I was the strong one, could pull a transmission by myself before I shaved regular. Together, we kept the family ranch outside Miles City from going under every single year the grasshoppers came. Then the bank decided 1987 was the year they'd finally foreclose." He paused long enough that Marlene thought he might stop, but he started again, quieter. "Ray had an idea. One big score. He knew a guy who knew a guy in Rapid City. Security schedules, blind spots, die packs that could be swapped for duds, all of it. I said no for 6 months. Then the auction notice came, red letters, 30 days. I said yes." Marlene leaned on the counter, arms folded. The diner smelled of bacon grease and wet wool. "Morning of the job," Rusty said, "Ray looks at me in the motel mirror and says, 'One of us needs to stay clean. Case we get caught, the other can still get the money out.' I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He shaved my beard, cut his hair to match, put my driver's license in his wallet, my wedding ring on his finger, cheap gold band I bought for a girl who left anyway. Then he walked into that bank wearing my life." Rusty's voice cracked like old leather. Marlene's face had gone very still. They sentenced your brother thinking he was you. Life, no parole. South Dakota don't play. Rusty rubbed his eyes with the heels of his hands. I took the money, buried it under the windmill on the North 40, paid off the ranch, told Mama Ray had re-enlisted. She died believing her good boy was serving his country. I visit his grave every Thanksgiving. Plot says, Earl Raymond McAllister, beloved son. I put flowers on my own name. Silence stretched so thin you could hear the rain ticking on the tin roof like a clock running out. Marlene finally spoke, soft as flannel. Why tell me this tonight, Rusty? He reached into his coat pocket and slid something across the formica. A Polaroid, edges curled, colors bled from 25 years of hiding in wallets and glove boxes. Two young men in denim and sunburn, arms slung around each other, grinning like the future was a sure thing. On the white strip at the bottom, faded ink. Me and Ray, July 4, 1998. Rusty tapped the photo. Because the woman who took this picture was named Marlene Hayes. She was 22, wore a green sundress, worked the grill at Miles City truck stop. Ray wrote me from prison last month. Said if ever I ran into that Marlene again, I should give her the truth. Said she deserved it more than anybody. Marlene stared at the photograph as if it might bite her. Her hand went to her throat, touching a thin gold chain she always wore under the uniform. From it hung a small, cheap man's wedding band. I kept it. All these years. Ray mailed it back to me after the trial with a note that just said, I'm sorry, darlin'. I thought he meant for dying. Rusty's shoulders began to shake. Not loud, just the quiet kind of crying that belongs to men who learned early that noise gets you hit. Marlene came around the counter. She did not hug him. She simply stood beside the booth, close enough that he could smell her coffee and vanilla perfume, the same scent from a lifetime ago. He never blamed you, she said. In none of the letters, not once. I blamed me enough for both of us. Outside, the rain eased to a whisper. The jukebox clicked, spun, and Patsy Cline began to sing I Fall to Pieces. Marlene reached over and turned the volume down until it was only a ghost of a song. What happens now, Rusty? He looked at the woman his brother had loved when they were all still young enough to believe in clean escapes. I don't know. I just know I'm tired of running from a man who's been in a 6x8 cell for 25 years wearing my name. Marlene picked up the Polaroid, studied the two identical smiles, then slipped it into her apron pocket like it was the most natural thing in the world. Shift ends at 6. There's a payphone that still works out by the ice machine. You could call the U.S. Marshal's office in Billings, or you could finish your coffee and drive east until the tank's empty. Your choice. Rusty looked at her for a long, long time. Then he reached for the check, pulled out a worn leather wallet, and laid 5 crisp $100 bills on the table. More than enough for a lifetime of 2 a.m. coffee. Tell you what, how about I wait till 6? Then maybe you let me buy you breakfast somewhere the eggs aren't burnt and the ghosts don't know our names. Marlene allowed herself half a smile, the first real one of the night. Deal, but I picked the place. And Rusty, yeah? Bring the rest of that money. Ray's getting out one way or another. Might as well be the Wright brother walking through the gates. The neon sign flickered once, twice, then held steady, bathing them both in steady pink light that looked almost like dawn. Outside, the rain finally stopped, leaving the world washed clean and waiting.